Hi, I'm Gareth.
Hi, I'm Jackie and we are Vegan FTA. Thank you for tuning into our activist series. Today we have the huge honour of interviewing none other than Dr. Michael Klaper. Now, if you have ever seen Forks Over Knives or What the Health or any of the other groundbreaking documentaries in that genre, you'll be very familiar with the smiling face of Dr. Klaper. If you're new to veganism and you haven't heard of him yet, now is your chance to learn everything that you need to know about the man and his amazing work. For decades, he has devoted his entire working career to teaching all of us around the world why we should not be consuming animals.
And he's also a great person to be on this series because his compassion for the animals just shines through. He just got such a lovely big heart. He's one of my favourite doctors, and hopefully he'll become one of your favourite doctors. We really hope you enjoy this talk from Dr. Klaper and you learn a bit more on how we can use medicine and health to step forward into a vegan world. I must say, I've never been so excited for a doctor's visit before.
No rectal exam this time, so relax. It's okay. Oh, it's a joy to be with you and your viewers. I'm glad we're having this conversation. Thanks for inviting me.
I can imagine that you have had countless conversations over the years, and we were literally just last night watching your film, A Diet for Reasons.
Oh my,
It was fantastic. You know, we've never, for anyone who hasn't seen it before, we were just blown away the fact that it's 30 years old now, I think, roughly, and all the information that you talked about still stands. Everything is so relevant. It hasn't changed. You know, it's fantastic, and it's so much information all in one place. Anyone that wants to know, you know, what meat and dairy do to our bodies should really, you know, look that up even now, because it's just so relevant. And it really brought it home to us just how long you have been fighting and working, dedicating your life to getting this information out there to educate us all about our health and also the doctors of the future. And I'm so glad to hear that, because just yesterday Gareth and I were saying Dr. Klaper has to stay on this planet forever.
Okay.
Could you tell us a little about what you've been doing to help, you know, educate the doctors of the future?
Well, thank you for asking. From 2009 to 2017, for 8 years, I was on the staff at True North Health Center in Northern California, and saw nutritional medicine done right. Patient after patient, we'd get them on a whole food plant-based diet, and wonderful things would happen. The obesity starts to melt away. There's lots of soups and salads and greens and veggies, you know, good solid plant-based foods. They start getting leaner. Their arteries open up, their high blood pressure comes down, their insulin receptors clear out, their diabetes goes away, the psoriasis plaques on their skin clear up, their asthmatic lungs stop wheezing so much, their migraine headaches get better. They turn into normal, healthy people right in front of your eyes. And that's the fun of lifestyle medicine, of nutritionally based medicine. See your patients get healthy. What more can a physician want for their patients? And as I said, I did it for 8 years, saw hundreds and hundreds of patients. It's very gratifying, but in 2017, it became painfully obvious to me that, Doc, as much as you enjoy this, it's too slow seeing patients one at a time retail here. There's a bigger stage we have to play on here to really get medicine to change. Why am I having to introduce this nutritional, powerful tool as some revolutionary secret kind of therapy? Every doctor should know about this. And why don't they? What is the problem? If there was some drug that would cure heart failure or lower high blood pressure, if there was a pill that did all these wonderful changes, oh boy, we'd learn about that in pharmacology, we'd learn about it in physiology. And not a word about this most powerful tool that every doctor has at their disposal. So I realized the acupuncture point that I need to work on is not, excuse me, with these patients in their 60s with all these diseases. I need to go talk to the young medical students in their first, second, third year of medical school before pharmacosclerosis sets into their brain and they think that that medicine's the only cure for patients' diseases. Somebody needs to tell them what I wish somebody had told me 50 years ago. It's what your patients are eating. So that's why they're sitting in front of you, overweight and diabetic and hypertensive and clogged up and inflamed, doctor. And before you order another $1,000 scan and another $500 set of lab tests, ask them what they ate yesterday. And if what comes back is full of peaches and buffalo wings and fried chicken and bacon and eggs, that's your answer, doctor. This is not some infection. This is a self-inflicted injury 3 times a day. Send the patient to the plant-based dietitian. Let her do the counseling. Let her show them the videos. Let her do the take them shopping. You see them back in a month and see if they're not going to be healthier. That's how medicine should be practiced in the 21st century. Why didn't somebody tell me that? So to get this message out, because the students are hungry for this, no pun intended, they want this knowledge. We founded, I left True North Health Center and founded our nonprofit organization called Moving Medicine Forward. And the purpose is to send me around to the medical schools. I was going to say across North America, but actually around the world. I was just in the UK last year. I was in Poland. I was in Lithuania. And I came to New Zealand, and I did a tour through Australia. All the doctors of the world need to know this, and it's not just up to me. There's organizations like the Plantrition Project and Physicians for Nutrition that are networking, and thousands of doctors are waking up around the world. It's so exciting to see that the light go on in all their heads. So I'm doing what I can to go to the medical schools and help the students have a nutritional awakening. So we create a new generation of doctors who know the importance of what their patients are eating. And if your viewers want to know about our work, go to my website, drklaper.com. I'm sure you'll have the website posted here. It's all spelled out, DOCTORKLAPER.com. And click on Moving Medicine Forward, and you'll see what we're doing and how you can help. Now with the COVID problem, we haven't been going physically to the medical schools, but we're putting it all online. And in July, we're starting our online course called Mastering Plant-Based Clinical Medicine. So every doctor can learn how to use this in their practice. And so we've got to go with the times. So we're going to be announcing our online course on July 9th, and people will be able to enroll in it around the world. And hopefully we'll get the word out electronically. So thank you for asking. A long answer, but involved issue there. Thank you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we'll definitely look out for that. And, I've been learning. So we were watching, Dietful Reasons last night. And I didn't realize, I knew you came to New Zealand last year and we just missed you. So I'm sorry.
Right. I'll be back. I promise. I'll be back.
And I didn't realize that you apart from obviously having your knowledge about, what meat and dairy does to the body, you really had a first-hand insight of, what it does to the animals and why it's just a really bad, sad idea all around. You grew up on a dairy farm. Would you be able to share a little about that growing up with our viewers?
Oh, sure. Well, we're all given this image as we grow up from the meat and dairy industries about happy cows out in the pasture frolicking with their little calves, and they come in and give their milk because that's what cows do. And we don't think twice about really what it takes to put that meat and cheese on the table. But I spent my early years, the summers of my early years, on my uncle's dairy farm in northern Wisconsin. I've been milking cows since I was 8. And I see the reality of the cruelty involved. There's no way that you can get milk or cheese on the table without forcibly impregnating a cow as you lock her up in the stanchion. After she carries the baby for 9 months and gives birth to a 65-pound baby, you take that baby away and start sucking the milk off her. The baby, the calf, bawls and for its mother constantly, the saddest sound you ever heard of as a baby being separated from its mother, and how the mother responds with these heart-rending bellows from the depths of her soul, hour after hour. She's locked up in the stanchion, so she can't get at the baby. The baby's in a veal pen about 15 yards away, and they're calling to each other hour after hour, day after day. It goes on, most heart-rending bellows for 4, 5, 6 days. And the cruelty inherent in dairying is evident. I can still hear those sounds echoing in my brain. And people think, well, you don't have to kill the calf. The calves are all killed. If there's a male calf, they're killed at 16 weeks for veal. The female calves are turned into 4-legged milk pumps like their mother. And after 4 or 5 years of calves and milk, their milk production goes down to the slaughterhouse, where they're turned into ground beef and a hamburger. And people need to know when they go into their favorite burger restaurant and they eat that Big Mac or that Burger King Whopper, they're eating ground up old dairy cows. That's the end of the cycle. The dairy industry is a slaughter industry. Let's call it for what it is. The dairy barn is a short stopping off place on the way to the slaughterhouse for a few years of calves and milk. But the dairy industry is a slaughter industry. And that reality needs to come out. Plus, it's destroying the environment. New Zealand, and I lived there for 3 years up in Whangarei, and right in the middle of the dairy country up there. And I know New Zealand is proud of their clean green image, but the truth is the rivers of New Zealand are running with cow manure and fertilizer, and your wonderful country's kind of sold its environment to the dairy industry and the logging industries. And they play hand in hand, because as you cut the trees off the mountainside, you make grazing land to put more cattle out to pasture there. This, needless to say, meat itself, of course, you've got to kill the animal. I chopped the heads off chickens. I saw the bull shot in the head. I saw the cruelty involved in any meat production, any dairy production. We have to stop kidding ourselves. I have a shirt that says, "Welcome to camp, stop kidding yourself." And when it comes to the lectures that we're giving. So that's the truth of it. If you've got a heart at all, if it matters, if these animals love their lives as much as you and I do, and to treat them as commodities, to put 8,000 hogs in a confined feeding operation, to put 100,000 chickens in the shed the size of a football pitch, and they're coughing on each other, they're trading viruses. The next COVID virus is being percolated right now in the immune systems of all these cows and pigs and chickens that are swapping viruses. The next one's going to be more lethal than the current COVID-19 we're dealing with. These virus pandemics, they're all telegrams from the animals saying, stop treating us like commodities, stop eating us, we are not your food, and stop creating us by the millions for slaughter. You're breeding disease that is coming out and jumping on you, as well as clogging your arteries and destroying your children's futures. All the way around, the red lights are flashing, saying the era of eating animals is over. No matter what the mighty hunter myth played in our mythology, though it's time to turn that page. We've used that up. We've used fishing up. We're strip mining the seas. We've used it up already. The message the animals are giving us, the virus is giving us, the environment is giving us, the global warming is giving us, is that it's time, Homo sapiens, to honor your anatomy and adopt a whole food, plant-based diet. You will thrive, you'll be healthy, the earth will heal, the animal suffering will stop. See that the age of animal eating is over, make that transition gracefully, and help the farmers and the ranchers transition. They're not the enemy, but pay them to do something else with the land. You don't have to run cows on it. You can grow broccoli, you can grow industrial hemp, you can pay them to let the forest come back. You can do something else with that land and help these folks and their kids to college, buy their seeds for them, ensure their crops for them, make it easy to make this transition. There shouldn't be a us and them conflict. But if we see that what the message is, and we open our hearts, we get healthier, the earth get healthier, the suffering stops. The plant-based message is really what this is all about, and that's why this podcast is so important. It's a matter of education of the public to make it acceptable to evolve to plant-based diets. And you're two healthy people who've done it, so you look just wonderful, and you set a great example for your Kiwi colleagues there.
Well, hopefully we can. Yeah, New Zealand is definitely a green country, and but as you say, it's cow manure green. It's not clean green. But so yeah, in this series, what we hope to do for people is to give them the tools in order to, bring about change and in different ways. And although the dire plight of the animals is a very, it's such a sad, horrible thing going on. Unfortunately, we've got people out there who they don't respond to it. They don't care. They see the dollar signs in front of lives, and that's all that they care about. So what I'd like to know is, how do you come from, being a doctor and the health background, go about starting a conversation for change, and how can we tap into using health as a front line, for starting that conversation with somebody?
Oh my, there's several layers to that answer, of course. If they're talking to me, by definition, they've got a health concern. And that, of course, gives the doctor an opening let's get rid of your high blood pressure. Let's get rid of your diabetes. Let's get rid of that big pot belly on your abdomen there. I can help you with that. Choose the bean chili instead of the beef chili. Everything gets better from there. But seriously, their health issues are always an opening. But more importantly, like my friend Dr. Dean Ornish says, fear is not a great motivator. It doesn't sustain people over the long run, as far as I'm afraid I'm going to get my stroke, I'm afraid of dying, which is well and true. And it certainly gets people into my office when they get that chest pain or they have that transient attack where they lose their speech. It gets their attention, no doubt. As far as sustaining them in the long run, it's rather than focusing on avoiding the evil calamities that may befall you, to accentuate the positive, as the old song says, and they focus on how much better they're going to feel. If you're carrying an extra 40 pounds of fat on your abdomen, it's like carrying a 40-pound bag of rocks with you wherever you go. Well, it's so nice when you put that 40-pound bag of rocks down, you feel so much lighter and have so much more energy. And that is indeed what happened as the obesity melts away. But the joy of not taking any medications in the morning. People go through this ritual, take their statins and their lisinoprils and their beta blockers and their diabetes medicines. Wouldn't you like to be free of that and just be a healthy person? I'm 72. I don't take any medicines. I pedal 20K on my bikes every morning. This is how getting older is supposed to go. Wouldn't you like to do that? And so I'm finding that focusing on how good people feel is a more powerful motivator than avoiding the guy with the sickle there. And although that sometimes is useful to refer to him as well. He's a colleague of mine as in the motivation game there.
I mean, we know, as you say, we're taking your advice. We've been vegan for 3 years. We've been whole food plant-based, no oil for coming up 12.
Good for you. You look great.
Thank you. I myself was on blood pressure medication, and within 8 weeks of being whole food plant-based, I went back to the doctor, and she said, you don't need to be on this anymore. And everyone said to me, you can't just come off it. I said, there's no need for me to be on it anymore. So yeah, I can see how well that works. But for anyone, one of the points of this series that we're doing is, this it's a learning place for everyone. So there's going to be a lot of new vegans, a lot of people that want to learn more about veganism, and, you know, plant-based diets watching. So in a nutshell, for anyone who hasn't seen any of the breakthrough documentaries like Forks Over Knives or What the Health, all of which we will make sure that, you know, we tell people about and they watch at the end of this. What, in a nutshell, do meat and dairy products do to our bodies? And eggs as well. They're not great. So.
Okay, well, I'll take the liberty to make it a big nut here. So I'll give myself a big nutshell to talk about it, coconut. But when you say, you know, what do they do to you? If I can take a longer step back a bit here, it has to do with just the truth of our anatomy. If you believe in evolution at all, we came up through the simian line of creatures, the ape line of creatures. And our hominid ancestors and our gorilla and bonobo cousins are up in the trees tonight eating leaves and fruit, because that's what we are. We're plant-eating simians. That's who this anatomical creature is. And we have fingers on our hands, not claws. We've got long intestines for dealing with fiber. We've got saliva that has starch digesting enzymes, not protein digesting enzymes. We're plant-eating creatures. And when we eat a diet of whole plant foods, again, the gorillas are eating leaves and fruits, we get to eat rice and beans and greens and lentils and pulses and fruits and veggies. When we keep that steady stream of excuse me, high fiber whole plant foods going down our gut, our body thrives on it. It's we pass these big soft stools, our blood pressures go down, our insulin receptors open up, and we're normal, healthy hominids if we do that. But the more we deviate from that, the more we start eating the flesh of other animals, the milk secretions of cows, getting into these processed foods. It perverts the food stream. It's like we had a fine sports car that was running on high-test gasoline, and now we start putting in diesel fuel, kerosene, into the gas tank. Well, it's the wrong fuel, and the spark plugs are going to foul, and the timing gets off, and the gas line plugs up, and black smoke comes out the back, and it shudders to a stop. The car didn't develop a disease, it just responded to the wrong fuel. And that's what the meat and the dairy does. They clogs our gas line, our arteries get clogged up. Instead of our spark plugs, our insulin receptors, our cellular metabolism gets inflamed and interfered with. And we can spend days talking about all the various disease entities that come from this. But in my talks to the medical students, I show us a slide of the blind men and the elephant, that old fable. The blind men stumble upon the elephant, and each grabs a different part and describes it. They all hold the same elephant, but none of them knows what a real whole elephant really is. Well, that's the problem where our diet has left modern medicine. All the specialists are looking at the diseases from their own little cubicle, and the internist sees the high blood pressure, and the cardiologist sees the clogged arteries, and the gastroenterologist sees the colitis and the Crohn's disease, and the rheumatologist sees the sore joints, and the dermatologist sees the psoriasis. They're all looking at the same disease. They have all of the same elephant. It's what their patients are eating. And so when you ask, well, how does it affect? It affects all these diseases are bubbling up from this basic transgression of natural laws, that this plant-eating creature is eating the diet of the mountain lion and of the cheetah. We're not carnivorous apes, no matter what the paleo folks are telling us. We are plant-eating creatures. So you know, we can pick the various diseases, and in our course, our online course on mastering plant-based clinical nutrition, we'll spend one night on diabetes, and one night on clogged arteries, and one night on intestinal disease. We'll go through all the diseases, what animal-based diets do to them, and how plant-based diets can be used to remediate them. That's a whole course in itself. But assume that the diet of your house cat is not the proper diet for us, and that diet is going to lead to inflammation and cancers and strokes and heart attacks, and you know, the red lights have been flashing for a long time. So So obey natural law is this, you know, and that means loving each other too. We're creatures who got to love each other, but eat what we're supposed to be eating, those whole plant foods. And the body knows how to heal itself. I tell my patients, look, I want to see you in two places and two places only. At the natural food store buying your tofu, and out on the bicycle path where I'll wave at you. That's the only place I want to see you. Well, go live your life. You don't need to be in my office. Yeah, if you break your arm, call me. Cut yourself, call me. I'll sew you up. But other than that, the food is the medicine. Hippocrates is right. Go eat healthy plant foods, and you won't need the services of people like me.
Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? And you know, you yourself, as you say, are just huge testament to this way of eating, this way of life. And as I mentioned at the start, you know, you were the one who changed with one line the way I looked at dairy food forever. And I believe it's something like, you know, cow's milk.
It's baby calf growth fluid. It's meant to turn a little baby calf into a great big cow. It's baby calf growth fluid. It's what this stuff is. And everything in it is meant to blow you up into a great big cow. And people who eat that milk and cheese and ice cream, they get all blown up from it. You can recognize when they walk in the office. If I tell people, look, go look in the mirror. If you got a snout and big ears and whiskers and long tail, if you're a baby calf, cool. You know, you enjoy your milk and cheese. If you don't have any of those things, don't be eating baby calf growth fluid. You have no more need for the milk of a cow than you do the milk of a giraffe. Let the calves have it.
So true. And once you know, like, you just can't look at it the same. It's like, I felt really silly, you know. The first thing I thought was like, ew.
Once you see it, what am I doing? Yeah, exactly. And then would you pour rat milk on your cereal, dog milk on your cereal? What is this with cow milk? It's a bizarre food.
Did anyone decide that was a good idea or that was okay? And you know, first I felt really silly that I didn't realize this before, you know, and then I felt really angry, thinking, well, why has it been till now that, you know, we've gone this way of eating, this way of vegan lifestyle, we found you are giving us a message, and you know, why until now were other doctors that I've ever seen in my life, have other companies, have other industries, advertisements, why have they not told us? Why until then had nobody told me and Gareth and everybody else watching that, you know, consuming animal products is a really bad idea?
Yes, it's profound when you really drill down into why aren't the doctors saying it. I think there's three things in Western medical education, at least. One, we're not taught about nutrition. We just blow right past it. We practice medicine like what our patients are eating has no effect on these diseases, when actually that's the cause of them. But we just blow past. We're too, because the doctors say, listen, I got to learn chemistry and physiology and pharmacology. I don't have time to get into this nutrition stuff. Let the dietitians deal with that. So they don't respect the science. They don't learn anything about it. And they're eating the same stuff themselves in the hospital cafeteria. They're eating their burgers and their pizzas. And when they earn money, when they get rich, they can go out and order their steaks and their lobsters. But they're eating the same stuff themselves. I can tell their patients not to eat it. But then you wind up with that sad spectacle of the doctor with the big pot belly and a pocket full of statins and beta blockers and metformin. And what kind of example is that for a patient when you walk in the exam room? You want to show them a picture of health, of how they can recover, and you want to offer them hope. But if the doctor's obese and sick, then he can't offer that hope. So it's quite a challenge we have, but we've been making all sorts of inroads. I'm so much more hopeful than I was a few years ago. The hospitals are starting to change. The patients are demanding it. The young medical students are talking about it and demanding it. In California, I went to Sacramento to testify before the legislature. They passed a law that every hospital that takes state money must offer a plant-based, whole food plant-based choice at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, to hospitalized patients. It's starting to happen, but only because the public's waking up and demanding it. So I encourage the viewers of this podcast to start asking what they can do in their local area when they go in the hospital. Hospital food should be food that promotes healing.
It's one thing like, especially for us, whilst we've been learning a lot of this stuff, to then watch, you know, your friends and your family and all these people, you know, just keep on putting this suffering into themselves, you know, causing suffering, what they're doing, and just keep on with it. And I don't know how you don't lose your mind with them, but I do still come up against much resistance with some patients.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you, without getting all squishy on you, you really have to feel compassion. And it's not some theoretical thing, because I became vegan when I was 35. And so for 34 years, I ate the meat and the dairy and the burgers and the hot dogs. I know what it's like to sleep that sleep, to just not, and I saw the animals killed on the farm. I chopped the heads off chickens, and I would still eat fried chicken in my early 30s. And the human mind has that ability to put down that shutter of emotions, to just pull the curtains, and we become mindless when it comes. Oh, we like that chewy, salty, meaty texture in our mouth, and that takes precedent over the realities of what we're really eating. And so I feel bad. I know what it's like to sleep that sleep. I'm not going to point my finger. If the 72-year-old me appeared in a puff of smoke to the 25-year-old me and say, "What are you eating that stuff for?" I wouldn't have wanted to hear that. So, so I have compassion. They're not bad people. They're just asleep. I was asleep. We were all asleep. And so all you can do is loving. You set the example. When that tray of cheese and meat hors d'oeuvres kind of, no, thank you. Powerful word. And people notice. They notice what you eat. They notice how you navigate through these chains. Not an issue. I'm not going to sneak a little chicken leg when nobody's looking. I'm not going to eat a little beef ground up cow when nobody's looking. That's abhorrent to me, the thought of it at this point. And so there's no willpower involved. No, I don't eat that stuff. And you don't have to make them feel bad, but start with yourself and the example that you set. And when people ask, and lovingly you tell them, no, I only want to eat foods that make me healthy. I only want to eat foods that help heal the earth. I only want to eat foods that don't involve animal suffering. There's lots of reasons to justify when people ask, but you got to let them ask. But don't underestimate the power that your example sets. And they'll ask. And it's easier these days, as you mentioned. Back when I was in the 1980s, it was a voice in the wilderness there. But what makes my work so easy now is that in every first, second, third year medical school class now, there's 30 or 40 students. They've seen films like Forks Over Knives and What the Health and Cowspiracy. The lights on. They get it already, Doc. Yeah, okay, tell me more about how to use this plant-based stuff in my practice. They're already there. So these movies are out online, and I'm sure you'll mention them and put them on your website to your viewers now who are not familiar with them. See these films. If someone in their family is awake but their husband isn't, or their kids aren't, then don't get into a fight with them. This is not about conflict. But sit down and say, would you like to watch this video with me? Just watch the video and let's just talk about it. Let Forks Over Knives do the talking. Let What the Health do the talking. And then have a conversation after that. Watch these people get healthy by eating plant-based foods right in front of your eyes. Watch these diseases reversed in these films. We've got it a lot easier due to wonderful films like this and webcasts like yours, that you're healthy, normal-looking people, and yet you eat plants. You know, just who you are makes such a powerful statement that you're not, skinny, emaciated, trembling vegans. And it's what we're meant to run on. And so again, the example we set is so very important. You're setting a great one.
Well, thank you so much. That's been testament for me with actually my mother, who is absolutely a huge fan of you, and she's very jealous that we're talking today. But she was somebody who we rescued a lamb, and when we were first going vegan, she was always like, mint sauce, and she'd see a photo and
make these wise cracks,
give a little dig, and then after a little bit of time, she just watched us and what we were eating, and then all of a sudden she started watching some of the documentaries, and now she's vegan, and I think she knows more of the plant-based doctors than we do.
She knows more about you than we do.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know who hears what. You never know who's ready. That's the beauty of this process. And it's not up to us. You know, our job is to say their message as lovingly and clearly as possible, and let those who have ears hear, like the Bible says. But more and more people are opening their ears, especially the young people, and the global warming and their future concerns and their concern for the animals. They're much easier to reach. But even the older generation, you never know. Isn't that wonderful about your mother? Good for her. Yeah, say hi to her for me. That's great.
She'll be happy. We'll be in the good books. I appreciate your saying about setting an example, leading by example, because I'm on the opposite end of the scale, in that I have 2 adult sons, and they're away living their own lives. And for me as a parent, knowing what I know now, I raise them in the belief that you need eggs for protein, you've got to have calcium for strong bones, and all of this. And so for me to have a complete turnaround, it's very hard for me to be like, say to them now, look, everything that I told you was wrong. Don't listen to me. I was wrong. Your mother was wrong, And of course, they're at the age at the moment that they're like, yeah, whatever, mom, like it's hard, I kind of despair. I'm like, please don't put that stuff in your mouth. They are fine with me eating what I eat then, but they haven't got there yet. So, and it's great because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there like me that feel like they hate to see their loved ones feed themselves with this so-called food, and you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. So I think that's some great advice, to just lead by example. And if I try not to be too preachy, and the proof will be in the pudding, I think. Yes.
I mean, the whole idea of science, is no matter what you believed in the past, if new evidence comes along that says that your old way of looking at it was not valid, this is the way, this is the truth of it, then the honest scientist says, okay, then whatever I believed before, throw out the window. Let's latch onto this newer truth, because it is the truth. And it's an honorable thing to say, I'm wiser now. I see more, and I've changed, and that's an honorable thing to do, as long as you admit it honestly, because your mother didn't know, my mother didn't know. This was all handed down to us, but now we know. And again, the example you set, and again, be patient. Your example is sowing seeds in them, and your sons may, yeah, whatever, mom, whatever, but the seed's been planted, and let a couple of years go by, and things start happening, and they either have health challenges, or they notice their pants are getting tight, or they can't run as good as they used to. And my mom was telling me, and the seed will sprout. It might take a decade or so. But you just set that beautiful example like you are, and have faith that the truth will emerge.
Thank you.
So in one of the podcasts we listened to from you previously with the great Rip Ethelston, you talked about the Plant Strong podcast. I'd better put that out there because people should be listening to it. It's brilliant. You talked about, people's sacred cows, their traditions, their habits, these things that we're clinging onto so tightly. Do you have any advice for, helping people let those cows out to pasture, letting go of some of those habits and those cultural identities, like here it's dairy, unfortunately, any words of advice to sort of give it a bit of a shove?
Indeed. Oh my, that's one of the tougher nuts to crack, of course. And my granddaddy's been running cattle on this land since the 1800s, and we've been running dairy cows for the last 60 years. I'm not going to change, and I like the taste of meat in my mouth, and it's my right to do it, and it's individual choice, and there's no end of the rationalizations. But our bodies have something to say about it. Your arteries got something to say about that. Your colon's got something to say about that. The earth has something to say about it. The rivers of your country have something to say about this. We're all connected. And your body's never not looking. There's no fooling it. Your arteries know what you eat. Your liver knows what you eat. And you can't cut down the forests and pollute the rivers without the land knowing the truth of it all. And these sacred cows, that it's our right to be able to raise animals and to kill them and to eat them. they say you can't keep a hat pin in a cloth bag for very long. You know, the point comes out there. And the truth of animal eating is now becoming so blatant. And we're clear cutting the oceans as the fish are all disappearing. It's becoming evident that era is coming to a close. And so, again, without blaming anyone, because again, your mother didn't know, my mother didn't know, the cowboys didn't know, but it's time to coax them into a vision of a world that's sustainable, that's loving. And so you got to start with the basics. A taste is worth 1,000 words. Put the food in their mouth. You know, make up a dynamite bean chili, and take Macho Man and give it to him with some nice, you know, dark bread and some steamed veggies there. And he puts that chili in his mouth and he says, "Oh, that's not bad. Oh, I could eat that. Oh, if that's vegan food, I could eat that." You change your lives with one meal. And so start with the foods that I ask my patients, what do you like the best? Chicken stir fry. Well, you can make the stir fry without the chicken, and because it's the seasonings and the sauces that really supply the textures of the grains and the pulses. That's really what supplies the satisfaction. So seduce them with the food. Talk to them about the realities of the environment. And if they're at all open to animals, you know, if you love them, you don't eat them. You know, so meet them with whatever means the most to them. And even as the taste of their next meal, then make up a dynamite tofu lasagna and share it with them. And they find out it's not such a big jump. And as they get healthier, they'll like it even more. So it's the challenge. It's not an easy one, but no one says this life is easy. But the rewards are going to be so great the more people we're able to bring over to the plant-based side. It's the only game in town. It's the only crusade, you know, for folks like us to take part in.
Absolutely. Actually, while we've got you on the subject of myth busting and you know, getting rid of preconceived ideas and things like that, with the when you were talking to Rep, I heard you say that on the subject of B12, you know, which is something that you see in discussions all the time. And, you know, we're obviously in quite a lot of vegan groups, and we see people saying, oh, you need this much B12 and that much B12. And even the lady in the health store that we bought 1,000 micrograms of B12 off, that, you know, we're supposed to have one tablet every day. I was really surprised to hear from you that, you know, we only actually need to take 1,000 micrograms 2 or 3 times a week to get our B12. It's not, and actually too much isn't great for us either. Is that correct?
Yes, the B12 is stored in the liver. It's stored in various tissues. We recycle it, and we only need a couple of micrograms or millionths of a gram. 1,000 of those millionths grams is a lot of B12. You only need 2-3 times a week should be plenty, unless you're trying to correct a deficiency, or if you've got some absorption problem, you've got Crohn's disease or something like that, there's something else. But normal, healthy folks like you, 1,000 micrograms of B12 a few times a week should be plenty. You won't get in trouble with that, no doubt.
Oh, that's great to hear. Thank you for clarifying. I thought, yeah, if it's coming from you, then I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to go with all these other millions of little on the internet.
So,
no need.
On that sort of topic, the one other thing is protein. The P word that we hear all the time. How much protein per gram, you know, is it we need a day? Like, because people always, if they always ask us where you get the protein from, and then if you give them the answer, like just about every vegan knows where to get the protein from, they then ask, how much do you need?
Are you getting enough? Yeah,
so
we're supposed to be shoveling it in.
From the doctor's mouth, how much would it be?
Right, okay. So, again, taking a bit of a long run up on this, all plant foods have protein. Nature can't make a kernel of corn or a lettuce leaf without using all 9 essential amino acids. All plant foods in their whole form have protein. And what it comes down to is that if you are eating enough whole plant foods to maintain your weight, if you're taking in 2,000 calories, of whole plant foods, of rice and beans and greens and fruits and vegetables, if you're taking in 2,000 calories of that food, you can't help but getting 50, 60, 70 grams of high-grade protein. It's in the plant foods. It's in the rice and the beans and the seeds and the lentils and the greens. It's in there. It's not an issue. In 45 years of medicine, I have never written a diagnosis of protein deficiency on a chart of any vegan, for sure, no meat eater either. It's not an issue. And if you think that I have to have red meat to be healthy, big and strong, ask any buffalo, ask any gorilla, ask any giraffe, and ask any elephant. The most powerful animals on the planet build these thousands of pounds of muscle off plants, because that's where the amino acids are growing out of the ground in the plant foods. And so, and again, I'm sure you're making it available on your website, but there's this wonderful film called The Game Changers about all these magnificent plant-based athletes doing these fabulous athletic feats on whole plant food diets. So you do not have to eat a bull to be as strong as one, that's for sure. And so the answer, yeah, everybody needs about 50, 60 grams of protein. Actually, truth is, honest to goodness biological means the human body gets along fine on about 20 or 30 grams of protein a day. But they build in this big cushion in their recommendations, all the government agencies, to make sure that everybody's going to get enough. So they jack it up to 60 grams, 70 grams of protein. And that's more than enough for everybody. And again, it's in the whole plant foods. So eat enough of those whole plant foods. You can't do this on granola bars and energy drinks. You got to really eat the rice and the beans and greens and fruits and vegetables. But if you do that, the protein takes care of itself. It's not an issue.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for clarifying that.
And then we've just got a couple more questions for you.
Sure. Oh, I'm enjoying it.
So you've dedicated decades of your career to educating people on why we shouldn't consume animals. And through the countless presentations and talks that you've given, your compassion always just shines through so brightly for the animals. And, it even starts to bring a tear to my blokey bloke eyes, and what do you believe is the one thing we should be doing to help create a better world, not just for us, but the animals? Is there one focus that you have for trying to make that place better?
At the risk of stating the obvious, one of the first, back in the 80s, when I was first opening my head and heart to the idea of being vegan, of living a life without eating animals, without hurting them, without wearing them, without experimenting on them. They have a right to be here and live their own lives out without me or any of my species torturing them, cutting their heads off, doing all those things we do. And the thought that we could do this was revolutionary. Yes, a human being don't really need to be doing this. But then I saw a bumper sticker that just sealed the case, and you've probably seen it before, but it said, "Love animals, don't eat them." And I let it, love animals. Well, everybody said, "Oh, everybody loves animals. Of course I love animals. Who's going to say I hate animals?" But if you love animals, you don't eat them. And it just stopped. The case closed. Start with that. And either make the logical argument or just set the example. Not an issue. I don't eat them. I don't wear them. I don't want to cause their death. I want to pay for their death. And every time we're in the restaurant, you say, "I'll have the beef. I'll have the chicken. I'll have the veal." You are paying for the death of the animal and for the next one in line at the slaughterhouse. And we can't escape at least I couldn't escape my complicity in that. That's the truth of it. And when I went to put on my leather shoes, I felt ghoulish to me, like the skins of humans. And if you really accept responsibility of what our purchases do, if we're pushing that cart down the supermarket aisle, every time you put that container of Greek yogurt or half and half cream there, you're saying take another calf away from its mother. Shoot another old dairy cow in the head. Pour more manure on the land. and I'll make myself sicker with this baby calf growth fluid. You know, and at this point, we need to take responsibility for our choices and our purchases. If we do that, everything gets better from there. The food producers, as we've seen, as these mighty meat producers start producing these impossible, they're buying Tyson's chicken, is starting to produce the plant-based products. They see it as well. Our buying choices are so powerful that if we stop buying the stuff, they'll stop producing the stuff. They're just interested in making a profit. They will produce whatever we consume. And if we start buying those veggie burgers, no one's saying they're the bastion of health, but they're great transition foods. If we start buying those plant-based, the rice and the beans and the greens, etc., and we stop buying the meat, it'll disappear. You know, you don't have to say anything. No battle. You don't have to burn down any slaughterhouses. Just stop buying the stuff and eating it, and watch everything change from there. The earth will heal, the forests will come back, the soils will stabilize, the water will get pure again. Again, just for the expedience of choosing plant-based foods over animal-based foods. The era of animal eating is over. Let's celebrate and go out for veggie burgers, and we'll have a healthier world to pass on to our children.
Absolutely,
well,
that would be, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for such a wonderful answer. I really look forward to the day when it's big kale is the big global superpower. So
Here. Tofu made from Iowa soybeans. All right, that's the best. This gourmet connoisseur soybeans from Iowa. You know, that's where I'm joking that most of the soybeans are shoveled down the gullets of animals or raising animal fodder there. How nice if they were raising it for human food. So someday, if we demand it, they'll do it.
Yeah, they'll be here sooner than we think. And I love what you said to Rip recently as well about, you know, the course of human history was changed with a single blow of a cleaver when someone decided that they wanted to eat a bat, you know, and for generations we've been going where humans shouldn't be going, into those caves, pulling out those bats, you know, and people are saying, oh, but it's okay. It doesn't, we're not contributing to that because we don't eat bats. But as you said yourself, this isn't the last of it. You know.
No, it's not. No, till we finally get the message, what the bats are telling us, what the pangolins are telling us. We're not their food. They're not our food. We're not theirs either. We should all be glad, so everybody be healthier.
Absolutely. Well, I have to say, I'm a proud graduate of the Cornell plant-based nutrition certificate.
Good for you. Good for you.
During our lockdown, that was a productive and very enlightening way to spend it, and I learned so much. I thought I knew a fair bit already, but for anyone, you know, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the plant-based nutrition certificate, and it was hugely enlightening. And one of the things that I got from it most was it gave me a huge understanding of why you doctors like yourself, the Esselstyns, the Campbells of the world have been fighting so hard all these years and continue to just fight so hard. It's so important. You've already done so much, and like we've already said, you guys have to stay here forever. But in the meantime, you know, just in case you want to break a wee holiday, how can we help you? You know, to assist you in ensuring, you know, the education of future generations, so you don't have to do it all on your own.
Well, thank you. What a delightful offer, music to my ears. And again, it's not an idle offer either. You are in this age of global intercommunication and technology, where with a click of a mouse, you can spread ideas around the world. By doing exactly what you're doing, keep doing these podcasts, keep putting the ideas in people's heads, set that example. This is how it's done. This is how healthy you can be. That's the best thing that you can do. But do keep making these the links available for people who want to learn more. Again, the plant-based courses. It's wonderful that you took the Cornell course. They say, you know, what you know about, you see. Once you know about something, you start seeing it. And when you take these courses, you understand health better, disease better, environment better. I just took a 6-week course online at the University of Winchester in the UK. And I would urge your your viewers to Google University of Winchester plant-based nutrition course. And it's a wonderful course. And for 6 weeks, they cover a lot of clinical things as far as the various diseases and pregnancies and raising children, etc. And that will increase your depth of understanding even more. So there's all sorts of wonderful educational opportunities. PCRM has wonderful educational materials. So keep educating yourself. And take our course on mastering plant-based clinical nutrition. And we'll be sending you the links. And if you get that out to your listeners, as well as about our Moving Medicine Forward initiative, well, that would do me a great service. I'd be very appreciative.
Oh, we would love to do that. Yes, please do. And that just brought a smile to my face. I was born and raised about 15 minutes from Winchester in the UK.
Oh. Look at there. Oh, they're doing wonderful work. Very visionary. I'm very impressed with them. And you'll enjoy it. I'll send you the link. You'll enjoy looking through it.
Very much.
Thank you.
So, I know the Atherstons call you a national treasure, but I must say you are a global treasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. You give me hope.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
See how red I am in the camera. I'm just sort of gushing.
Go for a big run or something after.
That's great. You stirred up all sorts of wonderful memories of my time in New Zealand. You have such a wonderful country, and you've set an example for us and your Prime Minister, and just the national approach to sanity and life is so beautiful. That's a real national treasure, to keep being sane and loving down there and show us how it's done. We've got a lot to learn from you folks.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anywhere else that we need to be sending our viewers?
Just send them to drklaper.com, and as soon as they click on that website, they'll see all the work that we're doing, as well as our courses. So just put up that link, and we'll take it from there. So thank you so much for getting this word out. You're just excellent interviewers. You're excellent hosts. And you've got beautiful hearts that emanates from you. It's so evident, all the love that comes out of your eyes. So keep doing this wonderful work that you're doing, and we'll make it a better world, no doubt.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. To support our speaker, follow the links provided in the description. You can keep up to date with the series by subscribing to our YouTube channel at VeganFTA, and also following our Facebook page, Instagram, or Pinterest. If you've enjoyed this series and you want to support it, you can also consider joining our Patreon. Every little helps, and your love and support goes a long way. Thanks for watching.